Welcome to our podcast. How to talk to yourself. Talking to yourself. It's one of those things everyone does, but no one wants to admit. Because the moment someone catches you mid-sentence, standing in front of the fridge whispering, "What was I looking for again?" Suddenly you're the weirdo. But let's be real. If we didn't talk to ourselves, we'd all be lost. Half the time you don't even realize you're doing it. You're just narrating your own life like some overly dramatic movie character. Okay, keys, wallet, phone, where's the phone? While you're literally holding it. You give yourself pep talks before big moments. You rehearse conversations you'll never actually have. You argue with people in your head and come up with perfect comebacks 3 days too late. And somehow, despite all of this, you still don't really know yourself. Which is weird, right? Because think about it. You spend every second of your life with you. You are the one person who's been there through everything. Every high, every low, every embarrassing moment your brain refuses to let go of. And yet, if someone asked, "Who are you really?" you'd probably pause like you just got hit with an error message. Because most of the time, we don't actually talk to ourselves. We listen. We listen to the voice in our head that overthinks everything. The one that reminds us of every single mistake we've ever made. The one that decides at 2 a.m. to replay. A conversation from 2014, just to make sure we never get too comfortable. But we don't question it. We don't talk back. We just accept whatever it says is the truth. And let's be honest, that voice, it's kind of an idiot. It's dramatic. It exaggerates everything. It assumes the worst. It takes one awkward interaction and decides, yep, we are now socially incompetent. It takes one small failure and declares, fantastic, we are officially a disappointment. It turns minor inconveniences into full-blown catastrophes. Yet, for some reason, we listen to it. We take its word as law. We let it shape how we see ourselves, how we react to life, how we feel about our own worth. And if that's not terrifying, I don't know what is. But here's a question. What if, instead of just letting that voice run wild, we actually talk to it? What if we treated it the way we would treat a friend who was spiraling? You wouldn't let your friend sit there, calling themselves a failure over one bad day. You'd tell them, hey, that's ridiculous. You're human. You're allowed to mess up. So why is it so hard to say that to yourself? Most people don't realize this. But the way you talk to yourself, that is the most important conversation you will ever have. Because you are the only person who is with you every second of your life. Other people come and go. Friends change. Situations change. But you are always there. And if the voice in your head is constantly tearing you down, constantly making you feel like you're not enough, constantly reminding you of everything you've ever done wrong, how do you expect to feel good about yourself? So maybe it's time to start having real conversations with yourself. Not just self-criticism, not just overthinking, but actual, honest, meaningful conversations. Like when something goes wrong, instead of immediately thinking, wow, I'm the worst, ask yourself, okay, what actually happened? Is this really as bad as I'm making it out to be? When you feel stuck, instead of spiraling into, I'll never figure this out, try, all right, what's one small thing I can do right now? When your brain starts pulling out old, embarrassing memories like some evil little archivist, instead of cringing for the millionth time, just say, all right, we've watched this movie enough times. Let's change the channel. Because if you don't control the conversation in your own head, who will? And no, talking to yourself like this doesn't mean you're crazy. If anything, not talking to yourself, that's the real problem. Because the less you check in with yourself, the easier it is to get lost. There's a space between your thoughts and the person observing them. And in that space, you have a choice. You can let every passing thought define you, believing that just because your mind says something, it must be true. Or you can take a step back and say, wait, is this thought actually helpful? Is it actually who I am? Or just a story I've been telling myself for years? Because so much of who we think we are isn't really us. It's just a collection of ideas we've absorbed over time. Things people told us when we were young. Expectations we never questioned. Fears we mistook for facts. And if you never stop to examine them, they become the walls of a cage you don't even realize you're in. But the moment you start noticing your own thoughts, instead of blindly believing them, that's when everything changes. That's when you stop being a prisoner of your own mind and start becoming the one in control. Because if you can observe a thought, then you can also decide what to do with it. So the next time that little voice in your head tells you something, you're not good enough, you'll never change, you're stuck, you're behind, you're too much or not enough or whatever version it chooses today, pause. Don't just react. Ask yourself, is this really true? Or is it just a habit? Because if you've spent years believing a story about yourself, of course it feels real. But that doesn't mean it is. And if a thought isn't helping you, you don't have to keep it. You can let it go. And maybe that's the real reason to start talking to yourself. Not just to think, but to unthink, to clear out the noise, to challenge the narratives that keep you small, to rewrite the way you see yourself. Because you are not your doubts. You are not your mistakes. You are not the voice that tells you you're not enough. You are the one who gets to decide what to believe.